Power gamers and optimizers, today's video is for you because now the teachings of Rivethun are going to offer us three really sweet archetypes that offer some big and unique bonuses immediately at level 2. Let's check them out. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka 3BenU here for another Pathfinder 2nd Edition video, and I want to start today by saying thank you to Paizon. Paizon sent me a copy of Lost Omens Divine Mysteries so that I could make some preview content for you all. So if you enjoy Paizon's stuff, please consider supporting them financially. I know many of you will use things like Archives of Nethys to get access to all their stuff for free, because they're an awesome company and do that, but let's make sure that they can keep making great content, so consider supporting them. And to start off today's video, before I jump into the new content and why I'm excited about it, I want to set some base expectations for what you can expect from an archetype to explain why I am so incredibly excited about some of these new archetypes from this book. So I'm just going to pull up a dedication at random here, such as the Harrower dedication. So the way that many dedication feats work is you get trained in a skill or two. And if you are already trained in that skill, you instead are going to get trained in a different skill. And it's not like every single one works like this. There is a little bit of variety. Some of these things can promote you rather quickly up other skill trees. For example, the Acrobat dedication immediately makes you an expert in acrobatics. But generally speaking, when you take a dedication, you're getting a skill training or two, and then something else on top of that. But the Rivethun dedications, and there's going to be 3 of them, called the Rivethun Emissary, Rivethun Invoker, and Rivethun Involutionist, all 3 of these are going to do something very different in terms of skill training that is going to give you a very noticeable upgrade in terms of skills. Each one of these is going to give you 2 expert level trainings at level 2. And just as a reminder, in terms of power level, it's usually at level 3 that you begin promoting your various skills up to the expert proficiency level. So these 3 Rivethun dedications all allow you to get 2 different expert level proficiencies at level 2, while also offering some other benefits. Whether or not this ends up being broken or overpowered or a problem, I'll leave that up to you. But first, why don't we talk about what exactly Rivethun is? So, Rivethun is an ancient dwarven tradition that states that everything has some sort of spirit to it. And even the gods themselves are spirits. They are just really powerful spirits. And so this is more like spiritualism rather than a belief in a specific religion. They want you to have empathy. They want you to show strength through knowledge. They want you to have willpower, self-control. And they want you to tap into your own personal power, your own personal experiences, hardships, whatever, so that you can temporarily use your own spiritual power rather than some other divine power that is coming from outside of you. So then each one of these Rivethun archetypes are going to allow you to draw upon your own personal power in some way. So this is very much a philosophy that you are going to follow, and it is going to lead to you having some really cool powers. So without further ado, let's get into what you came to see. So we have some slightly strict requirements for entry into these, and this will make sense in a second. So you need to be both trained in diplomacy and religion to gain access to the Rivethun Emissary dedication. And this is because you are about to become an expert in both of those skills at level 2, which is ahead of curve. And you're getting 2 expert trainings at the same time. If you want to build some sort of jack of all trade character that gets pretty good at a lot of skills, this is a really, really good way to approach that. Beyond that, you are also going to get a focus pool and a focus point, as well as the Bond with Spirit activity, which, in short, is basically going to allow you to use your focus spell that you get from this dedication. And this archetype feels like it's a little bit more about skills than it is about raw power. So, with your dedication for this archetype, you're going to get the Entreat Spirit focus spell, which allows you to get a +1 status bonus to an intelligence, wisdom, or charisma based skill check of your choice. And additionally, you're also going to receive this same benefit to your saving throws against things like curses, death effects, emotion, and fear. And as this thing scales up, and it does heighten pretty slowly, but as it scales up, these bonuses can get higher and higher until you are eventually getting +3 status bonus to your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma based skills of your choice for a minute. And that's pretty solid already, but we're not done talking about this. When you reach level 6, you are going to gain the ability to gain a better relationship with the spirits that you are bonding with on a daily basis. And the gist of this feat is that you are going to be able to pick up a domain focus spell from the spirit that you bond with. But, and here's what makes me absolutely fall in love with this archetype, you can bond with a new spirit over the course of 24 hours to gain access to a different focus spell instead. You are still going to have to meet some requirements of bonding with it. If it's some sort of living creature, you are going to need its consent to kind of do this bond. But this is a dedication that is going to immediately give you 2 expert trainings, a little bit more on top of that. And as you follow up with this archetype a little bit later on, you are also going to have crazy access to multiple different focus spells should you have the time and ability to go and change the spirit that you have bonded with. And as your character levels up, you will then get the ability to go for advanced domain spells as well. You can gain some really cool abilities to dazzle or even blind enemies in a 10-foot emanation centered on yourself, which I am always a sucker for dazzled. Get your gnomes out there, do your razzle dazzle, get some work in, help that party out. And there are some pretty strong options later on for other things that you can do in an emanation, such as an 8d8 force damage 10-foot emanation. You also can knock things prone if they critically fail. So the Rivethun Emissary seems to me like a relatively strong archetype. This is the sort of thing that you might use because you need some extra skill boosts, because you want some extra focus points, or you just like the flavor of bonding with some spirits. You know, we have the Animist, which recently released, and this has really cool vibes that could go on an Animist character as well. So again, that first one was the Rivethun Emissary. This next one is the Rivethun Invoker. And this one has some serious, like, barbarian energy to it. It's all about ignoring pain, defying death, gaining resistances, kind of gaining physical power by being in tune with your spiritual nature. So, this one is going to make you an expert in both athletics and religion. And so, in order to qualify this, you need to have both training in athletics and religion in the first place. And you gain the Die Hard General feat as kind of a bonus. And then you pick up the Enter Spirit Trance action. This gives you a number of temporary hit points equal to your level plus your con modifier. It lasts for a minute or until you dismiss it. You get a +1 status bonus to Fortitude and Will saves, and your melee strikes deal an additional 1 spirit damage as well. And if your trance ends, you lose the benefits for it. So this is pretty strong. You get some additional damage, you get 2 skill increases, you effectively gain like half a proficiency level in fortitude and will saves. Like, there is a lot to like about this from a dedication feat alone. The follow-up feats for this archetype kind of all follow this same defense-oriented vibe, doing something like allowing you to gain resistance equal to half of your level to certain damage types like bludgeoning, piercing, and slashing. With the idea being that you are like calling the spirits of nature to help and fortify your own body. Notably here, this is not a passive benefit. This is a one action that you have to use once you are already in your enter spirit chance. So it's not just like, oh, that's a feat that just gives me a resistance. There are some strings attached here. One of the things that I think is really neat about the Invoker is that it allows you to get better at critically failing things, if that makes sense as a statement. You get a couple of different reactions from the feats in this archetype that allow you to do something when you fail or critically fail a saving throw. So with Leverage Anguish, you can regain 2d8 hit points. If you're a master in athletics or legendary in athletics, the number of hit points that you restore actually goes up. So this is a healing reaction that scales based on athletics. And I just think this is super, super cool design space. Like, this is awesome. This next one is really unique. So the trigger for this is that you're dealt mental damage or spirit damage, or you fail or critically fail a saving throw against some sort of mental effect. And you can draw on the pain of this situation to become quickened until the end of your turn that you can use to step or stride. So you can convert some pain that you take into a fourth action for your turn, and anytime that you can get quickened to do something that you normally want to be doing anyway, it tends to be relatively powerful. This dedication has a 16th level feat called One with the Spirits that does some things, but the part that I'm most excited about comes at the end. If you would be knocked unconscious or your dying value would increase while One with the Spirits is active, the spirits revive you at the beginning of your next turn, restoring you to 30 hit points, and then it immediately ends. So this archetype is all about defensive benefits. If you want to make your character harder to kill, giving it some resistance, potentially some temporary HP, a little extra damage, a couple of skill trainings, this might be something that you really want to consider for your character that is going to be kind of getting into melee range and putting themselves into some degree of real danger. All right, putting it kind of in simple terms, if the Emissary is your Rivethun archetype for focus points, and your Invoker is the one for getting into melee range, then this is kind of your spellcaster one. The Rivethun Involutionist can either give you a spirit companion or allow you to cast spells or some combination thereof. I was a little confused about this word, Involutionist. I am a Latin teacher by trade as well. So volvo is a Latin verb that means to like roll or turn. So this in theory means rolling in. So I actually ended up on a Wikipedia page trying to figure this out. And apparently it is related to esotericism, with the general idea that an individual spirit is able to descend and participate in the evolution of like cosmic cycles and such. I'm not sure that I still fully understand it, but that's kind of where we're coming from. So we're in like esoterica thaumaturge type territory with this one. Like our other two Rivethun dedications here, you need to be trained in two things in order to gain access to this. You need to be trained in nature and religion, and in turn, you will become an expert in nature and religion. You're also going to be able to cast a spell. You're going to gain that activity, and you're going to gain 2 common cantrips from the divine spell list. So when we compare this to other existing spellcaster dedications, you usually don't get to become expert in two things at the same time. It's pretty common to get a skill training or two while picking up some cantrips, but this is pretty powerful in comparison to just that. So at level 4, you're going to have a choice. You can either get the normal basic spell casting benefits, where you start gaining some spell slots and can cast lower level divine spells, or you can get a young animal companion. This archetype is then going to have follow up feats, which allow you to improve upon either your spell casting or your spirit companion. Now, in case you're worried about the power level of this one, because gaining access to a companion and spellcasting in the same dedication is kind of cracked, I do want to remind you that most of the time when you take something like a class dedication that is giving you spells, you also have access to the feats from those classes. But the Rivethun Involutionist is not actually going to have access to that many different feats. You're going to have things like Mature Animal Companion, Incredible Companion, Specialized Companion, Expert Spellcasting, Master Spellcasting, all that sort of stuff. But you're not gaining access to the normal other things that you might be able to get as a spellcaster, your reach spells, your widen spells, your various class feats. So there is some give and take here that balances the fact that you do get a lot up front with this dedication. Lost Omens Divine Mysteries is a big book. It is over 300 pages. I did some skimming here to find something really cool that I could talk about for a first video. But this is only scratching the surface. I covered maybe 5 pages of this book or something like that with this video. I just think things like classes and archetypes are going to be some of the things that players care about the most, so I wanted to kind of give you a little preview of that. So I am recording this on November 14th. For those of you who get PDF subscriptions, you are likely to start getting your PDF copies on the 20th, with physical copies rolling out around the beginning of December. And then you all can take a full look at everything that's in this book. There's a lot of lore here. There's a lot of spells and other things that I really need to dive into. So I'll be back again soon. If you want to see more of this content, please consider subscribing to my channel. Getting over 1,000 subscribers would be really nice for me for some back-end stuff that I would like to be able to do. With that being said, I hope you all have a wonderful rest of the day, and if you have ideas about how you want to use these 3 dedications and archetypes on your own characters, I would love to see them. I am very, very intrigued by these, and I am interested to see what public reception is to these and how good these actually end up being in actual play. All right, see ya!